220 panel discussion, which basically will be talking about what are some of the technology strategies that the operators are likely to take up if we have to, as Mr. Petroda said, if we have to get our smile back for the Indian telecom industry. And then immediately after that, we have the Voice and Data Leadership Awards in various categories. So before we start the next session, which is about technology strategies to recharge Indian telecom, I would like to invite Mr. Gaurav Anand, Business Head, Telecom and Media Business at Wipro for his session. Mr. Anand.
Am I audible? Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gaurav Anand. It's a difficult task. You know, every speaker says it after the lunch session that we have to make sure that the audience is awake before the next session starts. You know, so I have to keep you awake for the next session, which is the CTO session. So you know, I don't know how many of you guys know what Wipro does or what Wipro is. Anybody who wants to raise a hand and say that they know typically what Wipro does. So this slide typically just talks about that we are a $6.9 billion company, which is basically the IT services company. But we had a meeting a couple of years back with the ex-CEO of Airtel, and he was trying to introduce us within his team, and he made a very interesting comment. He said Wipro is in the business of shitting to sitting. Any guesses why? We make baby diapers, we make chairs, and we do the end-to-end between these two extremes. From soaps to shampoos to vegetable oils to hydraulic pumps and to the IT. And going over to the furniture where, so that's how he introduced us, and that's how we typically try and introduce ourselves. That we are a conglomerate of various businesses. And obviously, IT contributes to the maximum. Almost about 90% of our revenues come from the IT business, which is the $6.9 billion business. We've got about 1,000-odd customers across the globe and about 150,000 people. So we are typically a people's company. Okay, the most ethical company awards that we've received and the accolades that we've received over the years. While we do a lot of things from shitting to sitting, this is what we do in the media and telecom business, and this is the group that I represent. And we have a very unique value proposition for the customers. We work across the companies across the globe in the media sector, in the communication service provider sector, as well as in the equipment provider sector. So from the domain perspective and from the experience perspective that we've developed over the last many years, we have a very unique proposition that we understand all of these three businesses, and we've got very strong practices around these three businesses, right? And with our initial business of R&D that started many years back, where we started engaging with corporates like Ericsson's and Nokia's, where we did all the R&D work for them, we've got a very, very strong domain knowledge on the equipment through our experience working with the communication service providers with them, as well as with the media companies across the globe. And as you can see, we work with almost we work with 2 of the top 5 satellite providers. We work with 3 of the top 5 pay TV channels. 9 of the top 10 equipment vendors are our customers and partners. Just a glimpse of our overall customers, who all we work with. I won't spend too much of time on this, but you can see both Indian as well as global clients. We work with them across the 3 sectors. So what are the key trends that we see in the market today? So you guys are aware of all of these trends, but I'll just spend a couple of minutes on this. One is the world is going mobile. The youth of India is today driving. So I'll try and keep my discussion focused around the Indian industry and the Indian trends. The youth of India is driving the industry today, right? Anytime, anywhere connectivity. The onslaught of smartphones, smart devices, which is leading to humongous growth in data. Humongous growth in data, both in terms of launch of 3G and 4G services, as well as the OTT players that are throwing up huge amount of data, which the telcos today are not able to monetize properly. Cloud adoption, the service providers are adopting cloud in a big way, both for their internal consumption as well as for selling it to the market. Mobile workforce, bring your own device concepts, field teams, how do they transfer data back to the system, and software-defined networks. This is basically how do you virtualize the network function, and a lot of discussion we are doing with a lot of customers both in India and globally. How do we virtualize the network function the way we have virtualized the IT function? And a lot of discussion is happening around, network in a data center kind of a concept, and so that's happening. So what is the dilemma that we see that the industry is facing today? Typically, what is happening today is that there is a dire need to innovate, and there is a business pressure to cut costs, and both of these things are working counterproductive to each other. How do you innovate? If you have to innovate, you have to invest in research and development. You have to invest in people. You have to invest in resources. And how do you cut cost? And where will the scissor go first? It will go on the innovation stuff. Cut down on your R&D budgets. Cut down on people who are going to do this kind of stuff. So it's a very strange phenomena which has happened, that while you want to innovate, you also have to cut cost. And if you want to innovate, you need more money. And if you have to cut cost, cut on the innovation stuff. And the issue is that how do we strike a right balance so that wherever you are cutting cost, it shouldn't be at the cost of your quality of service or your customer experience. Because with the onslaught of competition, and I was hearing Mr. Martin Peters say today that there's so many providers in the market today, right? And the choice for the consumer is so huge that whosoever is willing to give me the best service at the least possible price point, I'll go with him. Right? So it is very important that we strike a right balance of innovation and cost. And we have at Wipro, we have a few thought processes that we have developed, and we are in active discussions with a lot of our customers around those, that what can be done to innovate, and how do we cut cost without compromising on the quality of the services that you have to provide to the customers, right? Can we develop factory models of delivering services to the customers so that while your quality of services is maintained, you can reduce your cost or you can optimize your resources in a more effective manner? Can you innovate? How much can you innovate? Innovation is one, but how much of innovation? What is the headroom that you have available today from a subscriber-based perspective on whom you want to innovate? Today, we are almost touching about 100 crores of subscriber base in the country. It could possibly be around 75 to 80% of the country is already covered, right? How much is left for you to acquire new customers? If it is only 20% of headroom left to acquire those customers, it is just a question of time. 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, all of those 20% left would also fall into this category, and you would have no new subscribers left to add on to. So what do? Can you add new subscribers, or can you retain your existing subscribers? And how much of churn will happen and specifically so with the mobile number portability in place? I mean, what is the exit barrier for me as a consumer to change my service provider from A to B? So we have interesting thought process around that, and we've worked with a lot of customers, which I'll share shortly. This is one thought process that we have around shared services center, or developing a factory model to deliver services. And this is what we have seen across the globe, the trend on shared services center. Now, it is an established fact, and we can say it with complete confidence, that almost to the tune of 70% jobs that are being done in any corporation across any function, be it IT, be it network, be it HR, be it finance, they are repetitive jobs. Low-end repetitive jobs are consuming 70% of your skill set's bandwidth. And we can make this statement, it is true for geographies, for functions, for corporations. Now, can you take away the high volume, low complex jobs away from these people, put them into a center which is a kind of a shared services center, and release the bandwidth of your key resources to do the high complex jobs? What we have seen in the industry today is that, and these telcos, these telcos names are not there, but this is anybody's guess, that all of these functions, like contact center functions, like IT function, like service operations, all of these functions, wherever there is a high volume of job to be done, L0, L1 kind of jobs to be done, they are being shifted to a shared services environment. Now, shared services environments could be done in various ways. Companies are looking, multi-opco companies are doing it in-house. They will set up a shared services center and then service their multiple operations across various geographies, various countries. And what we are also seeing is that some customers have actually started talking about the network operations and network design piece also to be done in a shared services environment. We at Wipro, we are talking to a huge telecom service provider based in Europe who has opcos in Latin America, and we are talking to them in terms. Yeah. So what I was saying was that we are talking to, we are rather actively doing a project for a huge conglomerate telecom company based out of Europe, and who have opcos in Latin America, where we are doing this network design and optimization piece for them in a shared services environment. So sitting at one location, we will do the design piece for them and the optimization piece for them for all the opcos in Europe as well as in Latin America. So the bottom line is, how does this benefit an operator? Obviously, one is that you release the bandwidth of your key resources, and two is you tend to optimize on cost, optimize on the infrastructure that you have. As I said, high volume, the candidates for this kind of shared services or a factory model is functions which are high in volume and low complexity, and and it reduces as we go towards high complex functions, and that's how most of the telcos across the globe they are working today. What are the how do you implement these kind of factory models? There are various models, and various telecom providers are doing it in different forms and shapes, but everybody is doing it, right? Somebody is doing it completely in-house or a captive shared services center. Somebody is doing it in a joint venture. We can get into specific examples also, but we've not mentioned the examples here. Somebody is doing it in a somebody is doing it in a joint venture with somebody. Somebody is doing it in a build, operate, transfer model, or somebody is completely outsourced to partners. But clearly, the degree of ownership is very high when you have an in-house centers. We were recently in discussions with the CTO of a top telecom service provider in India, and one of the key projects that they are driving today is to get better control of their network. Because the issue is that currently the control of the network is with the partner. The design, the architecture, etc., everything was with the partner, and the partner was pushing the strategy. So there was no visibility that the CTO organization had on their own network. So how do you optimize across the various services that you have? So as I said, the degree of ownership and the degree of risk. If you are completely outsourced, obviously there's a degree of risk involved to it. If you are completely in-sourced, there is a high degree of ownership and low degree of risk involved with it. So this was around how do you optimize your cost, how do you optimize your resources. While making this presentation, it just struck me. My sister-in-law has recently shifted to the US about 3 or 4 months back. And I suddenly realized that my wife's mobile bill has shot up. She used to get a recharge of 1,500 rupees, 1,200 rupees a month. And now the recharge value has gone up to about 4,500, 5,000 rupees a month. So at a family level, we pay about 7,000 to 8,000 rupees to our telco, which includes the mobile bill of my wife, the broadband that we use, and mine is a corporate stuff. So between my wife's bill and our broadband, we pay about 7,000 rupees to the operator, and it's a single operator. Now I was asking my wife that has anybody approached you that your usage pattern has suddenly gone up? Right? She never used to spend any time on Facebook. She's done with her Facebook stuff. But suddenly, she's also started using a lot of Facebook. She's uploading a lot of pictures for her sister to see in the US and all. So I was asking her, is there anybody approached you? Any operator approached you for this? That, okay, your usage has gone up. There's a certain trend that we see. So we can offer you some better plans? No. Now, is she a sitting duck for a churn? Or can the current operator give her some upsell, some cross-sell opportunities, optimize my payout that I have to do? A lot of talk is being done in this direction, but at least in my family, I haven't seen that happen. Right? There are 900 million subscribers sitting outside. I don't know what is the status, but a lot of talk is being done around this area. So this is where the customer experience comes into play. Right? Of course, we all live with the reality that calls will drop. If I have to travel from my office to Sona Road in Gurgaon, which is about a 3 or 4 kilometer stretch, my call drops at least 3 or 4 times. We have kind of gotten used to that fact. But, what are we doing about this? As I said, is there anybody taking care of, so what is easy? As I said, there will be about 80% of the subscriber base is already using the mobile services. We've got just about 20% of headroom left with us. So is it easy to acquire a new customer? Or on the existing customer, should we try and do some upsell, cross-sell stuff? Is anybody taking care of where a person is going for shopping? How much money do I spend on pantaloons? How much money do I spend on a Pizza Hut for my kids, etc.? Or how much shopping does my wife does? All of these are online stuff. What is the usage pattern? And what are how is it being consumed? And what are the preferences of the customer? Can somebody sitting out there analyze that a particular subscriber's mobile bill has gone up by 3 or 4 times? Suddenly, there's a lot of activity happening on the Facebook from this particular subscriber, a lot of activity happening on Twitter. What is the behavior and which way is this subscriber going? Can that intelligence be built, given back to the operator, and the operator can take some smart decisions, launch some smart plans for the subscriber? Renewals. So this is where data analytics comes in very handy. And this is across functions. It can work on your network function, where you can do your network capacity planning. There are tools available for that. It can work on the operations to improve your customer experience management. It can work for your marketing side, where you can upsell, cross-sell. It can predict your churn. Now, I clearly see that, if somebody doesn't come back and tell my wife that, we can reduce our plan, I will tell her to go and look for a new operator or look for a new plan. So as I said, there are opportunities about upsell and cross-sell. All of this data, all of this huge data that is being thrown up today, that can be analyzed, that can be massaged upon, and a more intelligent and a structured data can be given back to the marketing departments of the subscribers, where they can take smarter decisions in terms of what plans to be launched and a more customized offering to these subscribers. I'm sorry. Yeah, so, as I said, can somebody detect an event that, suddenly a lot of activity is happening, a lot of calls are going, international calls are being made? Can somebody understand the context that why is this happening and will this continue in the future or no? Can somebody predict the impact? Can the current operator figure out whether this customer will stay or will the customer go away? Can the current operator give some cross-sell, upsell opportunities? Can they come out with some new plans for us? I don't know. What is the next best action for the operator to do in this particular case? We've seen that the churn management can give you up to 25% improve using smart analytics. Your churn management can be controlled up to 25%. And we are working with a large telecom operator in APAC, right, where we are doing this data analytics project for them, where we are helping them improve their customer experience, helping them reduce churn. And there's some certain commitments which have been made that how much will be reduced and how much will be improved. But yeah, a lot of operators are looking at this very, very seriously, primarily because there are no new customers left in those geographies, and India is just about a year or two away from that situation. So this is one area which is very, very important from our perspective, and we're focusing a lot on this today. Just a few wins. I won't spend too much of a time on this. As I said, we're working with a large operator in continent Europe. And they have their opcos across Latin America, where we are doing the network optimization and design piece for them on a shared services environment. As I said, we are also working on the data analytics piece with the operator in Asia Pac, where we are helping them come out with new marketing plans and control their churn. We spoke about the dilemma that the industry had, right, at the beginning of this the presentation, that how do you innovate and how do you control cost? Because both of them are working at loggerheads with each other. So we've come out with our solution, or how do we look at it, and how can we help operators doing this? As the way Wipro is looking at today is that how do we differentiate ourselves at the edge, and how do we standardize the core? So, as I said, we run a standardized core where we can look at shared services, where we can look up our energy management services. These are the cost optimization levers that you have. Right? And from a revenue maximization perspective, where we try and differentiate the business at the edge, is through customer experience management, lead to cash optimization stuff, and the transformation services that we can give on the edge side around analytics, around network transformation, around OSS, BSS transformation, etc. So this is how we look at it. right? And this is what our thought process is around the industry today, which way the industry will go, what are the pressure points, and what can we do to help the industry. That's all from my side. I'll be happy to take any questions, please. So the clapping means there are no questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Please advise your family members to use fiber.
Yeah, that's the good one. I thought there was an advice for the operator, but it's advice for me, which is fair enough.
Yeah, I have got a question.
Yep.
You see,
Can we have the mic, please?
the model which you are suggesting, I think we can advise here. The model which you are suggesting of shared services, if you look into that, all those points which you want to put into the factory and shared services are the ones which affect the customer. That is the business differentiator. Now, if you put all those things in a shared service factory, then products for all telcos are the same. So how are they going to sell? How are they going to differentiate? If it is a common network for everybody, if it is a common contact center for everybody, then how do, if I am telco A, I go to a customer, how do I differentiate from customer B? I understand it improves your business because you are in the managed services. But look at the telco, they will just reduce themselves to a glorified selling organizations, that's all. How do you comment on that?
Yeah. So first, it's not about outsourcing it to a managed services provider. Telcos are looking at shared services centers from their multi-opco geography spread as well. Most of the telcos, that the way they're looking at it is,